Hey everyone, welcome back to Evony with Genghis. So want to talk a little bit about subsidies. Most people think it's pretty obvious. Of course, take red. But if you don't have red, go Japan or Russia. If you don't go Japan or Russia, you're a farmer. What are you doing playing this game? Go play Farmville, right? That was the old Evony mentality. Lately, I've been seeing a lot of people saying like, no, I go with Korea subs. And at first I was like, dude, like, don't gather. Join rallies. That's where more resources are at. But then I decided to look further into it. And they have a really good PvP element to them. So let's take a look at subs. So first off, we'll go into the culture feature. And you can go here and see a little bit of the buffs that they all give. They all give 3 here. So Korea gives 5% range. Everything else generally doesn't give too much, mostly 5% on some less important stuff, like even Japan, 5% ground defense. And let's go into where the real buffs come from. So we'll go into preview. And remember, you can ascend these, right? So this is what the key is here. But you can ascend them using fragments from any colored sub. So what that means is you could go into the historic sub event, historic city searching, and you can win this Korea. And then you want to play in Japan culture. You just switch over to Korea, use the fragments from this Korea, switch back to Japan, and it works. It stays forever. Switch to Europe, it stays forever. You got those fragments. Now, if you want to ascend your lower level subs, you need the specific ones. But that's where picking something other than Japan or Russia comes into play. Because if we look here, and by the way, let me know how low coining my server is right now. 796K for the gold Japan. And here, 347 for Korea. And Korea's probably the third most sought after one. So the other ones, you can get even cheaper, especially if they're paired off against Russia or Japan. I'm not sure if Korea and Japan are always the partner or if it rotates. Now let's look at the actual sub benefits. And we go into Europe. And Europe has some decent stuff. Mostly, you can see right there, 5% mounted attack. And then 15% attacking mounted attack. That's pretty good. The problem with that is that you're going to see when we get to Russian, that Russian has that as well, and the defensive stats. So Chinese, really no PvP here. It's got the ground on the main thing, and then the 5% ground everything on defense. Pretty useless, I'd say. This one, Japan, has the 10% rally buff, and then 5% ground on the main culture skill. And then you get 5% total attacking troop. And then at the very end, if you do this last one, you get another 5% on ground. So you basically get 15% all troop attacking, and then 20% ground. Now let's look at Korea. We'll save that one actually, since it's our feature product here. So America, get America up. You get defending siege, go all the way. You get another siege and 15%. Pretty strong, actually. There could be a good argument for being American. And Russian. Mounted troop attack at the end. And then attacking, mounted attack, 15%, 4 out of 4. You could see that basically cancels out Europe. There's no reason to use Europe if you are going to get the full ascension. You might as well get the defensive buffs. This one's basically the most useless. The set piece, 2 out of 4, 4 out of 4 buffs, you get basically nothing. And there's really not much in there anywhere. Now let's go to Korea, the feature product here. Why are people switching to it? So if we look down here, you're going to get nothing really, and then defending range attack. But here you get range everything 5. But the big key here is at 2 out of 4. So you get the big bonus at the 2 out of 4, not the 4 out of 4. So for lower coiners, that makes it a lot easier to get your main sub up to 2 out of 4. And you might get lucky and get a few of your other subs also. You might be able to get some fragments in the draw, just get lucky a couple times. spend a little bit and you'll get really lucky a couple times, because not too many people are throwing their clues on Korea when it's up against a PvP sub. So you can basically get, with the 5 on the culture, 5 up top, 15 there, you get 25% range attack. And if you think about Battlefield, which attack do Zero Alliance do the most? Archer, right? Even big alliances, like we would be considered large by most players in the game watching this video. Obviously, if you have a red sub, like, come on. We don't need the comment saying, I got 11 reds, my name's Big T. Yeah, congrats. But for people who have golds, like I got 6 or 7 reds, and then I got some golds that I have to make decisions on. And right here, most people, like even my alliance, will send a 50 million rally siege. We do send siege a lot, but range is still the go-to attack. Range is the one that's going to zero people most often. We see a 6 billion target, we'll send range because we don't have to worry about a port swap. Someone swaps in and we're still going to get some points. Someone swaps into our mount and ground, that could really swing the battle. So we don't want to do that. So we only send those if we're really busy sending multiple rallies, which isn't too often. So here we are. Range, 25% attack at only 2 spectacles. Pretty reasonable, especially for your main sub. So give that some thought, and let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.